Welcome to Mars Hill, the show that examines new ideas and the effects they have on our lives, as well as old ideas and the effects they are still having on our lives. Our guest on this program is Father Leo Booth, who is the author of this book, Attaining Healthy Spirituality, When God Becomes a Drug, Breaking the Chains of Religious Addiction and Abuse. And Father Leo, I'd like to welcome you to this program, and just casually glancing at the title, I want to ask a question that I think maybe the casual viewer or somebody who may not be that familiar with the recovery movement may wonder, and that is when they see the words religious addiction. When we think about addiction, we generally think of something that is related to chemicals, alcohol addiction, cigarette addiction, drug addiction. Wouldn't it be more appropriate to refer to this as, say, religious obsession? But some people might wonder, is addiction kind of going a little bit too far?
Well, I've always been somebody who's been willing to go pretty far out to make a case, and I don't know about you, Dwayne, but I don't think I could think of anything more, if you like, far out than what happened in the Jim Jones massacre.
True.
I mean, if addiction is a stronger word than obsession, then I think addiction is appropriate for what happened in the Jim Jones massacre and Waco, and some of the abuses with the PTL, or the TV evangelist scandals of Jimmy Swaggart. I mean, when a person is willing to let their children sleep with the minister, or when somebody's willing to sit and poison their children, I would have thought addiction is really the word. I mean, that's addiction. And as you're familiar with, it was said that religion can be the opiate of the people. And I think that what's implied by that is that if religion is used to control, if religion stops you thinking, if people are not allowed to discover a spirituality that makes sense for them, then I would criticize any organization or religion that perpetrated that abuse. So I think that religious addiction is really very appropriate. And I also think that because so many of your listeners are familiar with drug addiction and growing up in an alcoholic home, or codependency and adult children issues that's out there in the self-help movement, maybe people need to understand about the dangers of a childhood whereby religion and God was scary and frightening and judgmental, and really whether it helped you on your spiritual journey. Because this book, as you rightly say, is about discovering a healthy spirituality. But sometimes in order to discover a healthy spirituality, you've got to let go of some of the old attitudes, old beliefs, old stereotypes of what God or even a priest or minister really is about.
But some people, and right now I'm thinking more along the lines of evangelical Christians,
Yes.
would look upon this book and would look at some of the things that you mention are unhealthy beliefs.
Yeah.
For instance, belief that sex is bad or our body is bad, or some of the rules that we may see in the Bible. And they might think, well, you might think that that's unhealthy, but no matter how you slice it, this is what the Bible says. And when they see a book like this coming out addressing their beliefs in terms of religious addiction, they might look upon it as if it's some sort of an inquisition, so to speak, against them.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that on some level it is a criticism of fundamentalist religion. So I don't make no bones about that. I think that within the Christian church, you've got conservatives, traditionalists, liberals, and I think that you're living in cloud cuckoo land if you don't realize that. I think that the mistake very often is when people say the Bible says, almost as if the Bible is a single book. The Bible isn't a single book. The Bible is a collection of books, and written at different times. And if you make the mistake and you think that it's almost written by one author all the way through with a common theme, you're going to miss the whole richness of that compilation that's called the Bible. So you know, with Jesus and with the teachings, you're going to find that they're open to interpretation. An obvious example is, thou art Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Now the Roman Catholics, which is the biggest Christian church in the world, interprets the rock to be Peter, the man. So the apostolic succession is based around the man, Peter. Mm-hmm. All the Protestants and evangelicals interpret the rock to be the rock of faith that Peter uttered, thou art the Christ. So it seems to me that you've got there the same text, but obvious difference of interpretation. And again, you know, for the viewers, I think that, you know, I'm obviously I'm an Episcopal priest. I have a church in Hawthorne. It's open to Episcopalians and to recovering people from alcoholism, drug addiction who come. There are gay and lesbian people there. There are people from other religious denominations who come to the church. So it's a very kind of, if you like, diverse church. And I don't stand there expecting everybody in my church to believe what I believe. Some of them have different views. Some of them are more conservative than me. Some of them are more liberal than I am. And you know, my point with this book is that the worst kind of addiction is when you're looking to God to fix you, change you, get you a job, make you happy, keep you healthy. What's the point in praying for God to keep you healthy if you have a lot of unhealthy habits? If you eat badly, if you smoke, if you drink too much, all the prayers in the world can't stop you taking care of your body. Mm-hmm. And if you want somebody to love you and you want a relationship in your life, and you're praying to Jesus for a relationship, but you don't go out, you don't dance, you don't telephone people, you don't make any way of a relationship, then of course you're going to be a lonely person. So it seems to me that religious addiction is when you use religion to escape from the world or to fix you in your life. And a lot of lonely, miserable people use religion, and they hide behind religion. In fact, they've been called church mice.
Yeah, you hit upon something very interesting when you talked about your church at Hawthorne, about how you're not asking all the people there to believe as you believe or go out and maybe vote as you vote or however you want to put this.
No.
And that's certainly a far cry from the fundamentalist churches that I have experienced, where for one thing, you brought out the great fundamentalist imagery of God speaking over the shoulders of the men as they're writing the Bible and that sort of thing. And you constantly hear the scriptures is of no private interpretation, which is basically, no matter how you slice it, means believe my interpretation.
But it's poppycock. It's
Exactly.
poppycock. So, I mean, anybody with any sense, it's obvious poppycock. I mean, there's so many different evangelical churches. See, a lot of people think, oh, there's a Protestant evangelical position. There isn't. There are different Baptists. I could take you to a church in North Carolina, which is Baptist, that is very liberal. I could show you Pentecostal churches that are traditional. The idea that the evangelicals speak with one voice is not true. There are liberal Baptists and there are conservative Baptists. The problem with some of these people that I think you may be talking about is that they've kind of captured the media, you know, and so people think that, you know, that these people speak for all evangelicals or all Protestants. It's just not true. Same with Catholics. I mean, there are liberal Catholics, there are traditional Catholics, there are Catholics that are ecumenical, who want to have relationships with Lutherans and Episcopalians and Methodists, and there are some Catholics who really don't want to mix with anybody, really believe that heaven is full of Catholics. Just like Muslims think that heaven is full of Muslims, and perhaps some Jews think that heaven is full of Jews. It's nonsense, you see. And the sadness for me is that there are not more shows like this one, because the only kind of TV, religious TV we get are these people who are doing these, I don't know, religious services, and usually the women have strange hairstyles and they're asking for money, or they sing songs to you and then ask you for money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you either get a prayer, then the money, or a song, and then the money. But the one consistent thing is they want money.
Oh, yeah.
And my thing with it is, you know, Shadowlands, you know, the movie with the English actor Anthony Hopkins, is about C.S. Lewis, you know, who wrote The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and a lot of very good books on suffering and joy and everything. He was a great thinker, a great debater. I think it's sad that we don't have more discussions, more good religious TV. Because, you know, I'm not against religion, I'm against unhealthy religion. That's the difference. See, I'm not against religion. Some people say, oh, maybe Father Leo's against religion and he's in favor of spirituality. No, I'm in favor of a religion that is spiritual, you see.
Right.
And if you've got a religion that's spiritual, Dwayne, then a Jew and a Catholic and a Muslim can hold hands.
Well, let's talk about some of the signs here of religious addiction. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is this expectation in the minds of the true believer that God will do something to their life, that God will perform a miracle if they pray hard enough, give enough money, and whatever, that, you know, they will be healed of their infirmities, their financial situation will improve, and that sort of thing. You mentioned the movie Shadowlands, and there's a great scene in there where he says, I don't pray, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't pray because I believe God will change things, but I pray because God will change me, meaning his response to whatever infirmities or situations will present itself to him. Tell us a little bit about some of the signs of religious addiction.
Well, I think you've mentioned them very well, and that is that, you know, it's the idea of a pawn, as opposed to, if you like, being a knight, you know, if you play chess. Some people see themselves as pawns, not as kings. They see themselves as victims. Life deals out certain things to them. They don't, many of them don't realize just how Hindu they are. They think they're Christian, but they're really very Hindu. Because, you know, Hindus believe that their life is predetermined by the gods, and that everything in it happens because of the gods, a form of predestination. Many Christians seem to, although they wouldn't say they were Hindu, I mean, they seem to believe that if you get well from an illness, it's because God did it